BlizzCon 2019 has come and gone, and with it came a slew of new announcements. Let's talk about what that means for Overwatch as a whole, as well as how it pertains to the Overwatch League. Before we get into the announcements made at BlizzCon, we have to talk about the current state of Overwatch and how it's left a bit to be desired.
The easiest place to start is probably content around the live game and how the events have stacked up. I think it's fair to say that repetitive PvE-centered nature of Overwatch's holiday cycle has become stale, with no new game modes, instead being focused on skins and emotes, which has dulled Overwatch for a lot of the casual player base.
Lafon, are you trying to tell me you weren't excited for the same exact Junkenstein's Revenge event for the third year in a row this Halloween?
For the competitive side of things, the slow balance patches, limited hero releases, and shaky map additions haven't made things much better either. And in Overwatch League, with the move to the homestand format, the community as a whole has had a ton of questions about the format there and what both players and fans should expect heading into Season 3.
So, going into BlizzCon, Blizzard had no shortage of ground to cover when it came to specifically Overwatch, and they needed something big and flashy to keep everyone drawn to their game. And ta-da! Overwatch 2! A massive, definitely out of left field and not leaked multiple times over the last several months announcement, right, Lafon?
Jeff Kaplan definitely sounded disappointed about the leaks when he took the stage, though he did poke fun at the whole affair.
All jokes aside, the heartwarming trailer, comboed with its visual update, did grab our attention and prepared us to learn about what Overwatch 2 would mean for the future of the series and the story of the Overwatch franchise.
While we're on the subject of story, fans have been clamoring for playable story missions to be included since the release of the original game. And that is the leading aspect of Overwatch 2. Story and hero missions highlight the PvE content that comes with a sequel. These will include unlockable talent trees for each hero that will upgrade their abilities, as well as items usable within the missions for players to experiment with.
Jeff mentioned in the keynote that this would allow players to customize heroes so that they could choose their preferred style of play. A couple of examples include projectiles during Genji's Dragon Blade, or Mei's Cryo Freeze, causing enemies near it to freeze upon exiting the ability.
PvE isn't the only addition to Overwatch 2, though, as the development team has clearly said they do not want to leave behind the large competitive community that has grown over the past 3 years. As expected, Overwatch 2 will debut several new heroes, such as Sojourn, the first Canadian hero, as well as new maps for multiplayer, including Toronto and Rio de Janeiro.
Speaking of Toronto, the first Canadian map in Overwatch, it will be the battleground for the game's newest competitive mode, Push. Push plays a bit like a hybrid of Control and Escort, where both teams enter a symmetrical map like Control and fight over a neutral objective. But instead of it being a King of the Hill style area to Control, it's instead a friendly looking Omnic that pushes one of two objectives depending on which team controls the robot.
Assuming a match is not one-sided, the Omnic goes back and forth pushing objectives until the time runs out, and then whoever has gotten their objective the furthest wins the map. If the skill difference between the two teams is substantial, though, the dominant team can have their objective pushed to a final checkpoint near the opposing team's spawn and end the game early.
Now, for anyone not ready to move on to Overwatch 2, never fear, because Blizzard has explicitly stated that they are attempting to redefine what a sequel means with Overwatch 2 and are aiming to keep original Overwatch players included in the gameplay.
If you're looking to play the new story content and hero missions, you will have to purchase Overwatch 2, but if PvP is more your style, then you can simply hold on to your current copy of Overwatch and play alongside Overwatch 2 players in all the new PvP content once the new game is released, including new heroes and maps. Not only that, but all cosmetics will be brought forward, so you won't lose the progress you made during the lifespan of Overwatch 1.
Now, of course, with all of these big BlizzCon announcements, one question will be ringing through the head of every competitive Overwatch fan. What does all of this mean for the Overwatch League?
In the short term, not a whole lot. Overwatch 2 does not even have a vague announcement date as of yet, so for the 2020 season, the only changes we'll see were the ones that were announced at BlizzCon. Even the game mode Push will not make a debut in 2020 for the Overwatch League.
But that doesn't mean that there weren't exciting developments for the league at BlizzCon. During the Watchpoint season preview panel, Senior Product Director of the Overwatch League, Jonathan Spector, officially announced that the Overwatch League will be moving on from its 4-map set onto a best-of-5 format that aims to make every map mean even more than it already does.
Also, although stage playoffs will no longer be included in the league's format, the All-Stars weekend is expanding to make room for a mid-season single-elimination tournament that will feature the 4 best teams from the first half of the 2020 season.
And oh, that's it actually. Those are pretty much the only 2 relevant announcements in regard to the Overwatch League specifically, which honestly, lafon, leaves us with more questions than answers.
Not just questions for the league either, Paul, but for Overwatch 2 as a whole. Yes, we learned a lot about Overwatch 2, but for everything we learned, there's 2 important bits of information we have not been given access to. New heroes and game modes are exciting, but when do we actually get to play those?
And it was said that Sojourn specifically would be added in Overwatch 2. She will not be coming out for the original Overwatch. And that BlizzCon 2020 would feature more information on Overwatch 2, which means we're likely not going to get any of this content for at least a year. So what do we get in the meantime?
Jeff said that at least 1 new hero will be added to the original Overwatch, as well as, quote, meaningful updates before Overwatch 2 comes out, but that doesn't give us much of a time frame for anything.
And for the Overwatch League specifically, there's still so many unknowns, even though it's roughly 3 months away. What will the broadcast look like now that the team has to be split across the world?
Some of the broadcasts will be happening across the world almost simultaneously. So does that mean there will be new talent being promoted for both production as well as casting? During Gauntlet, and even at BlizzCon with the World Cup, we got to experience some of the frontrunners in pairs like Avril and Pixie, Jaws and Leg Day, and ZP and Avast. So what happens there? How many, if any of them, are called up to the league?
So many exciting announcements at BlizzCon, but they all feel so far away, and the events in the near future of Overwatch still feel wrapped in so much mystery. If you like this video, guys, there's a button for that down below, and if not, feel free to leave us a comment. We are always looking to improve here, but either way, make sure you subscribe to Esports for more Overwatch content.